All right, today we are going to create a mock-up for the exterior of this children's museum located in Manitoba. And so you can see we're going to make up a pattern with 3 or more colors. We're going to put it on the photograph so that it's a mock-up so we can see what it would look like with the museum had that particular graphic. So we're going to go into Photoshop. We're going to drop in the photo to begin with. And that's how we're going to start this project. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock this thing. And then I'm going to make a new layer to start this off. And so we're going to learn how to use some selections and how to load and save them. So I'm going to grab the polygonal selection. And you can see looking at the photo that it's a pretty straight line. However, it is curved a little bit. So we need to take special attention here that we get it not just straight, but actually matching what the photo is. Because the lens of the photo actually works to curve the image because it's round. And so yeah, we have to be careful sometimes with photos, taking them at face value. Sometimes there's a little wackiness going on. So you can see I'm going along and making some selections. So let's speed this up a little bit. You don't need to watch me do this perfectly, but you can see I'm clicking around, adding those anchor points all the way until the end. And then we're going to have our selection. So this is great. The selection will work in 2 ways. Number one, it's gonna allow us to fill this layer with some color. So I'm gonna grab some color. I'm gonna pick a green color is what I'm thinking. We're going from blue to green. And then I'm gonna start with a more neutral color towards the gray side. It's gonna look almost minty. And so I'm gonna use Option Delete instead of using the bucket. This is like a shortcut, so I can just hold down Option or Alt and then hit Delete, and it fills the space, fills your selection with that. So now let's save this selection, because later I'm going to use this to delete unwanted material from the outside of it. So I'm just going to let's go put building shape, and it's very specific. It's for this document specifically, and there we go, it's saved. So I can grab that any old time I want. I don't have to remake that selection if I need it later. So now I'm going to make the pattern upon this open area. And so because it's about children, bright shapes, interesting shapes, but they don't have to be representational. So I'm just going to click around and try and find an interesting shape using the poly lasso. Once again, it's a multi-use tool. So I'm going to make the selection. This kind of looks sharp, but there's a bit of a movement. And I'm also going to save this selection. So I'm just going to call it sharp, nice and easy. And then what I can do is use my old friend Option or Alt and then Delete. So holding Option down, hitting Delete. And this time I'm going to use a green color. I want to keep it in the green family for at least 2 of them. Again, I'm going to go a little towards the right, a little less saturated with color. And so Option Delete, we've filled that with color. So that looks great. Here's another thing you can do with selections. So if you right click on them, you can transform the selection itself. So moving it is a transformation. You can rotate it, you can flip it, you can distort it. All the things that you can usually do with a regular selection, you can do that to your selections. And so I'm going to keep on doing that. I can just click. I can fill it with color, then I can transform it, move it, fill it with color, and I could do that. So that's one way you can utilize this type of tool. There's actually another way of duplicating the same shape over and over. If you have a few in a row, like I have 3, you can hold down Command and tap J, and now you can see that I've got 2 layers with the same exact shapes. It's been duplicated. So I can make, if I need to fill a page with a certain shape, I can copy and paste, and I can multiply how many I have just by using that Command J, making a new layer. And then at the end, I'm going to merge all the layers together. But there we go. So I've got 6 of them made. Now I want to drop down. I want to make another line, maybe 2 lines of this same shape. But first, I'm going to merge this. So it says merge down. So it's going to merge from the top layer to the next one down. And so now you can see I can move all of these together. And so I want to straighten this up with the top. I want to make it more parallel with that, so I can move that into place. That's looking pretty good. So now I can hit Command J once again, Command or Control J. I can duplicate that whole line. So now I have, I have 6 ready to go. I'm just going to move that down. And then so we can slide that into place, and then there we go. I've got it fully covered. Instead of copying, like moving the selection this many times, it really speeds up the process knowing how to duplicate. So I'm going to try and line them up using those guides. Those guides really help if you want to get it nice and straight. And then there we go. So we've got all those pieces put into place. So what I'll do now is I'll merge them all together. You don't have to do that. It's just something I like to do later on when I move things around. It's nice to have all those bits in one place so I don't have to select more layers. So let's make a new layer. Let's get the third color in here. You need to have 3 colors like we said at the top. I'm going to keep using the polygon lasso. Actually, you know what? Let's try the marquee. So let's go with ellipse. And so I'm going to make an ellipse. Let's get something round in here. Round is pretty playful. It's fun. It's safe. And then let's check this out. So when you have a selection, you can actually take away part of the selection. So if I click there, it now has a minus sign. And when I drag and drop over top of that one, you can see it minused some of the original selection out. And so I like this shape. This is an important shape that I'll use over and over. So I'm going to save this one again, just in case. And so that is saved. And so I'm going to go through that same process of picking a color and filling it and making lines of them. So the pattern is developing. I've got the 3 colors that I needed and it's coming together. And then what I want to do is I'm going to merge those, and then I'm going to look at blend modes. That's right down here. So each layer you can apply a different blend mode to it. And as I flip through them, as I go down the list, you can see they change, and it just changes how the layers interact with one another. And so you get some different effects. Oh, I like that vivid light. That's good. Linear light. I like the orange and the yellow. So now it's multiplied. Well, it's not multiplied. It's added another color just by the way that they're blending. That's really interesting too. I like this yellow and orange one probably the best, the lightest one. So I'm going to go hard light. I'm going to click on that. Now it's set. I can change it at any moment. And you can see the other layers they say normal. And so that's totally fine. So I've got hard light set up on there. It's adding to my design. Now I've got an extra color because of the blend modes. So let's go to selection and let's load one of those saved selections. So load selections. There's a drop down menu right here. I want the building shape because, as I said before, I'm going to use it to trim unwanted things from the overall pattern. So down here you can see those extra bits are coming off of the building. So now I can correct that by selecting the inverse. So now instead of the building being selected, it's everything outside of that building shape that's going to be deleted. So I'm going to go to each layer that I need to delete from. So the orange one on top is first. I click on that, hit delete. You can see that disappear. Click on the green one, delete. There we go. Now I've cleaned up the edges. It's perfectly in line with the rest of the pattern that I've set forth. Let's put some finishing touches on this thing. So I'm going to add in the logo for this museum. So I'm going to hold down Shift and I'm going to drag it out so it stays in the perfect perspective. I'm going to drag the logo to the top so I can have it on top of the pattern. And I'm going to move it to the bottom left. You can have it anywhere. You can have it any size, anywhere. You can also try a blend mode out, and because it's got a white background with black writing and lines, it just disappears. And so it's a nice way of avoiding cutting something out using those blend modes sometimes when you have the right colors going on. So you could go massive, like right in the middle. There's so many different compositions that you can use to enhance or to utilize the logo. And that's almost it. Let's embark on the last thing we need to do, which is apply gradient. So up here you can see there's like this gradients. There's lots to choose from. There's tons. If you double click on the pane up there, you can double click and make your own gradient. And so because we're outside, there's blue kind of light. There's some shadow going on. So I'm going to pick a really white kind of blue. You can barely tell that there's any blue. Double click on this one. At the other end, I want this also blue, but I'm going to make it darker, and it's going to be more to the gray, like outside once again. And so that is looking good. I think that's going to match up really nicely. So I'm going to go okay and okay. And then I'm going to make sure I'm on a new layer on top of everything with my selection. And I'll click and drag across, and you can see it's lighter on the left upper corner, darker on the right. And then, so the last thing we can do with blend modes is we can see how we can blend this gradient with the top. And so once it's all good, you click on it, and it will make the building look a little more three-dimensional, a little more realistic. So there we go. That's how we make a mock-up on a building with a large graphic. Good luck with yours.